Price of groceries, as we all know, is on its way up and up and up, unless you read page 2 of the news, because I've got conflicting stories here, Steve. So, CBS News reports some U.S. grocery prices are dipping for the first time since 2020. Grocery prices continue to eat a hole in household budgets, with many Americans citing the economy and inflation as top issues behind their votes in the election. Online grocery prices dropping a little bit in October from a year that marks the first dip since January of 2020, before the pandemic shut everything down. Online, now this is online only. Online grocery prices represent what consumers pay when they order food from places like Walmart, Whole Foods, and others through apps or websites. So that's going well as far as online. However, flip side, new survey from LendingTree finds the cost to host Thanksgiving dinner is up 19% from a year ago. That is way outpacing inflation. Up 19% from a year ago is almost the entirety of the inflation we saw since 2019, right?
Yeah, because my first thought was, it's Thanksgiving, so they're just upping the prices for a few weeks. But no, if you're saying from last year, absolutely, yeah.
Right. Survey of more than 2,000 Americans finds more than half still plan on hosting, like your folks are, to some capacity. 1 in 10, though, are scrapping plans to host altogether, saying inflation is definitely leading people to change their Thanksgiving plans. Some of them are changing what they serve, some are using coupons more, and some of them just aren't going to host because it's too daggum expensive. So my brother is hosting this year. He's kind enough. He's covering a lot of the costs, but he asked if we could bring the booze. So I think he knows. We'll spend more in booze than he does on turkey. The thing is, I don't think there's too many people that are going to be there that drink. I think it's my wife and me and him and his wife. That's about it. So I guess he's expecting me to really kick things up a notch. How is it that we have so much in the way of spending? Holidays is all for spending, right? Yeah. We'll probably do another 10 stories on spending between now and the first of the year. Fair?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you did radio for 30 years, and how many?
It's just the same every year.
Right.
It's like
spending,
do you have
travel.
enough to spend? Are you going to spend too much?
Right. How far are you traveling? How are you getting there? That kind of thing. These are all the holiday stories, right? We all do it because this is what we're all relating to. So I saw that, and then I saw that Black Friday is coming. Cyber Monday shopping, they expect to top records. And the only metric that we have is how much we're spending. Well, with inflation, if you buy the same amount of goods, you're spending more. But that doesn't mean we have to buy the same amount of goods for Christmas or for Hanukkah or whatever else, right?
I think it's cyclical, don't you? And not even not cyclical necessarily based on how much money you have. But so, Chris, I've had some very good ideas over the years. Mm-hmm. But other years where I have no ideas of any kind, and you're going to get a gift card. Here you go. My brother, I bought him, had one of these bobblehead dolls made of him, sent them a picture.
That's awesome.
They made it in Mexico. He had it on his desk. Then I also had an action figure made of him as well. And I love those things.
Did they do that in Mexico?
They did. They made it in Mexico.
Wow.
Made it cheaper. But
of course
anyway,
they did.
So it was this
guy, Pablo.
No, but it was when you're creative, and these were not major expensive items, but they were not cheap, and it was something he's going to remember and hold on to for a long time. So my feeling is that there are some years, though, where you're like, oh, wow. I don't have time to go to the store. I'm working a couple of jobs.
Yeah.
I don't have any great ideas. So I'm just going to, and I was not necessarily thinking I had a great job at the time. I was like, oh, he's going to be so excited to get this. I'm going to spend an extra couple $100 to make this happen.
Wow.
Whereas other years you're like, here's a $50 gift card. I don't have any ideas. I don't have time. Just do it.
Okay.
And I think that's more of, so that's more the giver wanting to be generous, but also saying, I don't really have that much time to be generous. Now, I suppose if you have a little more money, you can spend more on the gift card.
That's true.
So
that's true. Did you hear what he just said, Pablo? He said he thought he had an okay job, so he spent a couple extra $100 on his brother.
On my brother. That's my brother. That was not.
Why didn't we get into that public radio money? Why didn't we do that?
My Lord.
Couple hundred extra bucks.
For my brother.
Unbelievable.
At the holidays. This was not. I did not send him a stipend every 2 weeks, Chris.
Holy cow. Public radio money must be great.
It's not. It's really not. Benefits are pretty good, though.
With that, though, did you ever put stuff on the card? Is that how you did it, or did you? Yeah,
sure,
of course, yeah. Did you pay it off right away, or did you take a few months?
I was raised to pay.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you don't spend it.
Plus public radio money.
Oh my God! Yeah. Of course, yeah. Well, it's government money. I mean, they were sending it to me on the side.
Now you're getting the game. Now you understand it. So I was fascinated by this. I've been in that hole before where I was not paying things off right away, and it added up real fast. Sure. It was a bad deal. Americans have been doing a lot of swiping and tapping, according to our friends at ABC 15 on their credit cards. A new report by the New York Fed finds that consumers owe a record $1.1 trillion in their credit cards, 8% higher than a year ago. And I think that we did a story not too long ago where we were at $1 trillion. Now we're at $1.1 trillion. So $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money. Credit cards remain the most expensive way to borrow money. Interest rates are over 20%. It's an all-time high. And they say don't expect a huge reduction in your credit card APR either. So we are spending. Recent survey from H&R Block found Gen X, those between 44 and 59, carry the most credit card debt, followed by millennials and then boomers. Why is Gen X spending so much more than boomers and millennials? Are millennials just used to cutting back? Do they know that I need to save more? Are Gen Xers the society of consumption or the generation of consumption? That was always the accusation we had in the 80s and 90s, that we were the consumer generation. All right, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I think the boomers in some cases made it okay for us to spend, and some people didn't quite. I don't know. I think there's that possibility that parents were a little bit less strict, and they were like, okay, we want you to have it better than we had it. So sure. And then by the time you're in your 30s or 40s, you're overspending. And
you're not very good at getting ready. All right. Why can't we stop spending? We're hitting $1.1 trillion in consumer debt, right? Credit card debt. Yeah. Collectively, not just you or not just me, but $1.1 trillion. It is incredible debt, but we don't seem to be dialing things back. Now, I listened to Dave Ramsey, and he would say, that's just stupid, with a capital S and a lowercase stupid.
Lowercase stupid. Okay, yeah.
I don't know what he says. It's not fiscally wise to be spending money that you don't necessarily have. Some might argue I can spend on the card. It's convenient. I earn points, and I plan on paying it off at the end of the month. I do this. You do this. Dave Ramsey says, don't do that. You'll spend more than you want. Why? Why is it the credit card debt, we've got it on the rise? People are spending more than they have, and here we come into the holiday season, Thanksgiving, prices up 19% over last year, and we're planning on spending more on Cyber Monday and Black Friday than we did in the past. Why is it we can't stop spending money we don't have?
Well, so there are two things. One is that inflation did mess with people's finances for quite a while. You know, look at the job market, whether it was good or bad, not so great. I mean, a lot of people were not unemployed. So I have two theories. One is that one is more fun than the other. The first one that's not fun is that...
Okay, start with the boring and let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah, if you're in a position where you need things for your kids or you need things to get to work yourself, let's say you've got the husband and wife have jobs in different areas of town. One can take the bus, one can't, and you need a car.
Okay.
And you need to get something that's really going to get you from A to B, but isn't a $5,000 junker. Let's say you need a decent car that's going to help you and it's reliable. So that's money that you're spending. I'm thinking more in terms of the wisdom of the spending. You need to. It's one of those things where if you don't do it, you're not going to have an income. You're not going to be able to take care of your kids in some way. Or
necessary expenditures. Yeah. If the roof is leaking, the toilet doesn't work. These are all emergencies. We got to take care of it.
And maybe thinking to yourself, oh, if I'm able to get to this job and I work there another 6 months to a year, I'll get a decent raise.
Okay.
Maybe not massive, but decent enough to help pay for some of these things later.
All right.
So the short-term debt might make sense. The other thing is sometimes, Chris.
Is this the fun one?
Yeah.
I like the fun one. Go ahead.
So spending just feels good. Isn't it fun? I mean, you can look.
Yes.
You can look in. I'm going to say clothes first, but that's not the sexiest thing. But let's say
that's fine.
You're looking in your closet. You're thinking, I mean, I've got enough clothes. Of course I do. Like who doesn't? Guys have enough clothes. Well, of course we do. How many things do we wear? But maybe you go in and you see this thing at, like say, you go to Dick's Sporting Goods. You want to buy some stupid jersey or something.
Yeah.
Your favorite team.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it going, this is like $129. I really shouldn't spend this. But you know what? There's a game next week. I want to wear this to that game.
Yeah.
My buddies are going to love this. I'm going to be so jacked up and so happy about this. I'm going to buy this. And you go, you take it home, you're just trying, you're showing it off to your friends, you're really excited. And then 29, 30 days later, you realize, wow.
Did I really need to spend that?
And you didn't, but in the moment it feels good, or it feels great to take somebody out to dinner. It feels great to get a jet ski. Whatever it is, it just feels good. And that's, as long as it's not something that gives you long-term pain, then the short-term high of it feels pretty good. And a lot of us lack that day to day.
Is that retail therapy?
I think it could be seen that way, yeah.
That's valid?
I
fall victim to retail therapy.
We all do. Maybe not
Thank
all of
you.
us, most of us.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that I'm not alone in this one. If things are not going well in my life, Amazon boxes start showing up, right? But isn't that indicative? I mean, if we're going into debt, aren't we we're actually making things worse? It's sort of like, I'm depressed, I just need a drink, right? But we know that if you're just drinking when you're depressed, that is not going to be a long-term solution. That is not good for you. It's not healthy, right?
Yes. But those are, come on. Those are not quite the same thing.
It's all about coping, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, if you need to spend $130 on a jersey to feel good, what is it that you're not finding satisfaction in elsewhere?
I mean, that's fair, but I also think that's a small thing to invest as opposed to.
You made mention of it. Jet ski. Jet skis aren't cheap.
No, I decided to throw that out so I don't sound like he's buying a jersey. That's exciting. Get a jet ski, buy yourself an ATV. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, I get that. Or midlife crisis, we buy a sports car. Right? Yeah. That's the old cliche about buying a sports car.
Absolutely.
And that's because we're missing something else in our lives and we want something, right?
Of course.
And we're willing to go into debt for that.
Yeah, but again, I think the idea of the debt is better than the idea of damaging your liver or potentially hurting someone else.
Well, I don't disagree. There are stages of coping. Yes, I understand that.
No, it's the same. Yeah.
But I think it comes from the same place. I'm missing something. I'm trying to fill a void. But the problem is you're kind of digging a hole deeper when you're going into debt for that. And here we are at $1.1 trillion in accumulated consumer credit card debt. I feel like we've got a lot of people who are pursuing the wrong avenue of therapy. And again, myself included, I do the same thing.
Well, I mean, how about you go back 15, 17 years with the housing crisis?
Yeah.
And people were told they could afford houses they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And that's much more dangerous to me.
So I'm really interested in that. And I want to pursue that avenue exactly in a segment here in the not so distant future here. I also think there's another sign to this. As we look at our why can't we stop spending even when it's driving us into incredible debt? I think we're addicted to consumerism. And I kind of hinted at this in our last segment when it said that the biggest debt holders is Gen X, and we've always been considered Gen X is the consumer generation, right?
Yeah.
I think there's something to this, that we are addicted to consumer. We've been told, to your point, that possessions fulfill you, that you can keep up with the Joneses, that you should have these different things. And I think we find if I'm feeling a loss in my life, I need a bigger TV so that I can feel superior to somebody else.
Yeah, but that possession can also be your friend. If it's a smart TV, it's like, oh my gosh, look how great this is. I can talk to my TV or whatever it is. So I don't necessarily need to leave the house.
I love so much that you just rationalized that. I love it.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.